So not too long ago, it looked like the Qubitcoin network was in some serious trouble. I mean, a lot of people were getting pretty nervous. But was that really a sign of weakness? Or was it actually, kind of secretly, a demonstration of its incredible strength? Well, a new report breaks it all down, and we're going to walk through it right now. Okay, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at what seemed like a major crisis. Then, we're going to pull back the curtain and see the system's own automatic fixes at work. We'll also dive into what didn't happen. And trust me, that's a huge part of the story. And finally, we'll see how this whole thing was actually part of a deliberate plan, flipping the entire script from major concern to, well, major confidence.
All right, so let's start with the perception. Picture this. It's between December 25th and the 28th. If you were watching the network, you would have had some really good reasons to be worried. From the outside, it looked like something was going seriously wrong.
And that was the question on literally everyone's mind. Was the network about to just fail? The data that was coming off the blockchain looked pretty alarming, and honestly, it was easy to jump to the conclusion that a critical failure was right around the corner.
And this right here, this was the smoking gun that had everybody on edge. You've got a network that's supposed to be consistent, right? Then you start seeing these huge gaps, 30, even 45 minutes between new blocks. I mean, it felt catastrophic. It was like the engine was just sputtering and about to stall out completely.
But what was really happening under the hood? Well, it turns out this wasn't a failure, not even close. It was a system working exactly the way it was designed to.
To really get what happened, you have to understand the network's core self-defense mechanism. It's called the difficulty adjustment. You know, you can think of it like a thermostat for the blockchain. It automatically senses if things are getting too slow or too fast, and it just recalibrates. No human has to step in or anything. And this just lays it all out so perfectly. When some mining power, the hash rate, goes offline for whatever reason, the blocks naturally start to slow down. The protocol sees this, and it automatically makes the puzzle easier for the miners that are still there. And just like that, the block times come right back to their target. It's this simple, elegant, and totally automatic.
Okay, so if the system was just doing its job and correcting itself, what about that other really alarming thing? One single mining pool having a huge amount of power. I mean, surely that's a fatal flaw, right? Well, not exactly.
What's so interesting here is how this report completely reframes the issue. The big fear was centralization, right? But the reality is that the pool just amplified the randomness that's already a natural part of the system. It didn't actually centralize control. And those wild swings in block times? That wasn't a failure. It's just known statistical probability. It's kind of like flipping a coin and getting heads 10 times in a row. It's weird, yeah, but it's not impossible. And the most important thing to remember? The chain never, ever stopped.
Now, let's talk about maybe the most important number in this entire story. That number is 0. 0 is the number of miners who panicked and bailed on the network, not a single one. And that is a massive signal. The people closest to the action, the ones with real money and real hardware on the line, they showed their confidence by simply staying put. They knew this wasn't some kind of crisis. It was just the protocol doing its thing. Their inaction spoke volumes.
You know, maybe the most powerful part of this whole story isn't what happened, but what didn't happen. It reminds me of that classic Sherlock Holmes clue, the dog that didn't bark in the night. Sometimes, the silence is the most important piece of evidence you have. And the report is crystal clear on this. None, and I mean none, of the nightmare scenarios that critics are always worried about ever came close to happening. There was no death spiral. The difficulty adjustment didn't break down. No miners were excluded, no hidden bugs popped up, and, most importantly, the chain never halted. The system held strong.
And this is where it all leads to a pretty stunning realization. This wasn't some accident that the network just barely survived. This was actually an expected, and even necessary, part of the network's evolution. If you look at the published roadmap, you'll see this period is literally called a live stress test. They were intentionally testing the network in real-world conditions to get data for some major upgrades that are planned for next year. We're talking new consensus models, new proof-of-work integrations. What we all just saw was the system gathering incredibly valuable data in the wild.
So, the crucial takeaway here is this. The network isn't being patched up with duct tape after a failure. No, it's being upgraded from a position of proven, battle-tested strength. These recent events just confirmed that the foundation is rock solid and ready for what's next.
So, where does that leave us? What's the final takeaway from all this? Well, after we've sorted through all the misperceptions, the reality, and the bigger plan, the report boils it all down to one clear, really powerful conclusion.
I mean, that quote just captures it perfectly, doesn't it? The recent choppiness wasn't a sign that things were fragile, it was proof of a working, honest-to-goodness system that's ready for its next chapter. That temporary discomfort? That was just the price of getting real-world verification.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In a world where most systems are tested behind closed doors, maybe true resilience isn't about avoiding chaos. Maybe, just maybe, it's about having the strength and the transparency to face that chaos head-on, out in the open, and prove that you can handle it.